Hey guys, welcome to the RC.
The show that's not about Rogaine cures because my hair is so freaking long.
It is experiment with your hair time.
Quarantine hair is a thing, and no one can tell me otherwise.
Oh, I know it's a thing. I'm a redhead now.
Not only is Rachel a redhead, this whole thing is different. We're now trying to do seeing how this looks. If you like our new setup with our Target fairy lights and our nice wood we installed. I'm never getting my security deposit back. Today we are going to be talking about education. Since everybody's getting ready to go off to college, this is completely covering my mouth. There we go. Since everyone's getting ready to go off to college, we're going to talk about education, what the heck we've done because both of us are transfers, and a kind of like our survival guide. What was that book? It was like blank survival guide to high school. You know what I'm talking about?
Survival guide to high school?
Something like that. We're giving Rachael and Connor survival guide to college. I think it's going to be fun.
Hopefully. Well, college is fun.
College, I think, is a broken system, but we'll get to that.
You have such strong feelings about college.
I think that no. I have a problem with education in Okay, that made me sound really bad. I have a problem with how people set up the education system so that it's the same reason I have a problem with big government, is that I like things when they're small and they are efficient and they work. I think that oftentimes school puts you in a position where you have to follow the track and just do exactly this, that if you want to be special or you want to do something that you'll actually learn from, they don't like that. And I have problems with that. And I have 15 other problems, but we'll get to that throughout the course of this video. Rachel, let's talk about you going from high school, travel back in time to a few years, to when you were going into high school, to college. It was only 3 years ago.
Maybe we should turn this down because you can hear all the table stuff.
We can turn. Hold on. Boop.
Let's turn this down. There we go.
Oh, much better. Now we sound great.
We'll fix that in
We're trying to figure this out, guys.
We'll fix it in post.
How does this look? I feel like this is covering my face completely.
It is.
There we
Just
go.
put
Let's
it to
try
the
that.
side. That's
That
what
looks
I'm
better.
doing.
It looks real weird, but we're going to make this work. If you want to support us and let us get Shure SM7B $800 microphones, subscribe to our Patreon that we don't have.
Should we get one of those? Comment if you think we
Absolutely
should
not.
get one of those.
How about I
don't know what you would send us.
I'll just put my Venmo link and you guys just Venmo me. All right? Sounds good?
Don't even send us money. Send us like quirky things. If you send me a quirky thing, I will full on show it like on the podcast because I love anything that's just a weird little thing.
I feel like we're on a news show. I'm not going to lie. I feel like we're on a news show right now. We're like, hello, welcome to Rachael and Connor in the morning at WZ.5,
That's cute
92
that
FM.
you think we're both up in the morning. He's a morning person, actually. I'm a night owl.
College.
Well, I used to be a night owl.
That actually is important in college. I would never take an 8 a.m.
Figure out what you are. Figure out what you are.
Regardless, do not take an 8 a.m. if you can help it.
Actually, no.
Period.
I really liked 8 a.m. So the weird thing is probably because I was used to it. So I went my whole life. Don't give me that look. Because you have to think about it. I spent my whole life going to private school, and we started at 8 in the morning.
Doesn't matter.
So for me, it was a really easy transition, and I actually really liked it because it created a massive set of structure for me.
It's too early.
And I'm very structure-oriented. Oh, I didn't take 8 a.m.s if I didn't have to. But I almost regret not taking them because I also was in theater, so I had all that stuff at night. And so I would have liked to have started my day earlier so I could have a break in between.
That makes sense.
Because when you start, let's say at like 12, your first class is at 10:30. Actually, 10:30 classes are really nice. If you can do those, do those. But like I had one day where like I started at noon or like 12:30 or something. And I had like 2 classes and then I had an hour for dinner and then I had to run and I had 4 hours of rehearsal.
Ew.
And the fun part is that I only had that in that hour. I always managed to schedule myself for other things.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, perfect. I can just squeeze somebody in there. But then everything always ran late. All my meetings. I never was late for rehearsal, but it was always crazy how I'd end up from I have an hour for dinner to, well, I'm going to add this group project meeting. That's going to take 20 minutes. I'm going to add, 10 minutes to go see my friend at their bake sale or whatever. I'm going to run across campus.
But I think
have
that's
time
important,
for that.
though, in college. Like, you want to be busy. Do not let yourself
Tip number
have
1.
no time in college. Tip number 1, do not let yourself have any time. I know people say, like, your first year of college, try everything, and that's pretty accurate. I think.
Don't commit. You don't have to commit to anything, but try everything.
You only need to go to one
do.
acapella thing to know you don't want to do it.
That's true.
So if you show up and they have like the fair, go to the fair. You don't need to do everything.
It's also a great
but
way to
try
meet
it.
people. So even if you don't commit, like, I joined cheerleading for like a solid 2 weeks. That was it. Like at my college, I joined cheerleading. I was a cheerleader for 2 whole weeks, and then
Why?
I quit. Because
I have to ask.
Because my friend, shout out to my friend Mavelle, she convinced me to join. Because I was a dancer, and I was like, there isn't a dance team. There isn't really a dance group that like performs a lot, except the ballroom club, which I did end up joining. But they only performed once in a year, and I wanted to perform a lot.
So you tried cheerleading.
So, well,
the most
I only went-
anti-Catholic sport of all time.
Well, I was at a Catholic school. We were covered. But I only went to like 2 practices, and then 2 weeks into it, I got an offer for, well, 1 week into it, I got an offer to be an assistant stage manager in a show.
And you're like, bye.
And no, I didn't even try to quit right away. I couldn't go to some of the practices though, because they were during the same time as the show rehearsal.
You're just now listing out the plot of High School Musical.
And so I convinced one of the coaches agreed to do private practices with me. So I practiced for like 2 more weeks, and then I basically just decided that I did not get enough joy out of it because I wasn't actually seeing people at cheer practice.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't doing anything with cheer practice. I was going to be a flyer.
And
so
you
I was
weren't
going to
in
fly.
love with cheer.
No. And
You were
the
more
thing
doing it
was,
for camaraderie. And
what really happened is they gave me the schedule of what we need to go to, and I looked at it and I was like, I can't go to all of these. And they were like, no, it's fine, you don't need to go to all of them, you just need to go to like this number of them. And I was like, okay. And then I got an offer from another
to play lacrosse.
No, funny enough, I've never done a sport. No, I started ballroom club, and we only met once a week, but cheer met twice a week, and that was the only other time that there was practice. And so I basically chose between 2 of them, and I decided to go with ballroom.
That makes
so I quit
sense.
cheer, but then I just became a cheer mom because I would go to some of the sport, like I'd go to like a game or whatever,
Yeah.
or
And you'd be like, my babies.
basically,
Do
well, 2 of my best friends were in
Became
it.
a seal.
And so I basically became a cheer mom. I would like help with their bows. I would make sure that they had all the stuff they needed.
Yeah.
I'd make sure they did their laundry like the night before to make sure that they had it all clean for the game the next day.
So you were practically part of the
And then
cheer
I would
team.
take videos and pictures of them. Oh yeah.
Oh, that's always fun.
But I mean, I think I also quit because I liked the idea of being a flyer, of
Yeah.
being the one that's thrown in the air. But I thought the cheers were way too cheesy. And so I kind of was like, yeah, this isn't for me. But like, I still gave it a try. And like, that's the whole point is like, don't be afraid to quit something your freshman year if you're really not like into it. But try everything. Like I tried.
But if you commit,
If
you
you commit,
gotta go in.
If you commit for like the year, like commit for the year. Like I didn't
gotta
commit to
finish.
ballroom until 2nd semester because of play. And
But-
then
yeah,
I committed
exactly.
to it, and I made the play realize that I was committed to this thing and I couldn't back down. And they
Yeah.
were really cool about it. And ballroom club wasn't even like a commitment unless you wanted to go to the one competition in like the beginning of the year.
yeah.
But I couldn't go because I had done the play instead. And
Well,
so
and then I
when
think
the
that's
second
tip
semester,
that leads right into tip number 2.
Yeah, it does.
Is be ready to say no to some things because
Mm-hmm.
yes, we're saying try everything, and yeah, it's great to try everything, but learn when you've had enough. You don't want to be at the point where you're like, I have no time to sit down and breathe for 5 seconds and I'm failing my homework because I'm doing too many things. And I think that's the biggest disconnect between someone when they first start is they say, I can do everything, I can try everything. Try, but you can't physically do everything as much as you can try.
you can't do that. You blow out the audio.
I did not.
You
I don't
can
think so.
really hear it.
Did I?
Yeah, you
Dude,
can hear
I'm
it.
way below. I think I'm fine.
No, you.
What?
I mean, you
Oh,
can
that's
hear
true.
it.
We should put a
Just
blanket
air
over
it.
this table.
We probably should.
That would be cool. We can get a rug.
Why would we get a rug?
I don't know.
Okay,
but
focus.
say no. Oh, tip number 3. Buy a rug for your dorm room because if they're
No.
concrete, they're going to be cold in the
Oh
morning.
yeah, that's true.
That's tip number 3.
But that's something I feel like you hear all the time. Like everyone posts about it.
That's true.
Like on the Q&As. No, I mean it all comes down to time management, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Like try everything, but don't be afraid to say no to things. It really all just comes down to time management. Like keep yourself. With tip number 1, it was keep yourself busy. With tip number 2, it was
don't let yourself get too busy.
Don't. Yeah. So
And tip number 3 is buy a rug.
buy a rug. But no, like it all comes down really to time management. Like obviously you want to try everything. You want to figure out. College is an experience about directing yourself, giving yourself some sort of direction.
Yeah.
And so it's not afraid. Don't be afraid to like let that direction shift and change a lot. But it really is. College is about learning how to manage your own time. You learn how to
Among
both
other
stay
things.
busy and not overbook yourself. I overbooked myself a lot, and I suffered a bit for it at times. But I had to learn. Like,
Yeah.
I had to figure out, okay,
Yeah.
this is how my schedule. Like, I can't agree to help someone with their paper when I have 3 papers due the same day.
Yeah.
And play rehearsal every night and 2 hours of work after play rehearsal on the play. Like,
Yeah.
that's just not an option.
Can't do it.
And so you have to learn also. You also kind of learn, like, how long it takes you to do stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I learned, because I procrastinated, which I don't recommend. I would procrastinate, and I learned that I can write, like, a really solid 5-page paper in about an hour and a half.
That's not bad.
It's not bad at all. Like, you learn weird things about yourself. But, like, yeah, it's all about time management. Like,
Well, I think that-
try to avoid procrastinating. Like, the hard part is that when you procrastinate, you have a motivator. You have a drive.
That's the
And I think if
problem.
you set, like, a set time, like, nowadays, I set myself, this is the time I'm going to work planes, trains, and automobiles.
This is the time.
I set specific time for myself to do, like, a certain class assignment so that I know I need to get it done in this time frame
Yeah.
because I have another thing that's happening, which is probably why I do tend to overbook myself still.
Well, I think that goes right into some of the stuff what you were saying earlier. Our segues today are like fantastic. Tip number 4. Be ready for everything to change because and I'm not just talking about like this whole coronavirus. So congratulations, you're graduating online now. I went to college to study theology to be a youth minister. I have now transferred twice and I'm finishing up a degree in business administration online.
And that you even
I
changed
also
major
studied
multiple times.
psychology at one point.
Yeah.
So be prepared for Rachel has a pretty straight path. It was English, writing, that's what I want to do, and you're kind of going with that.
Only to
and
an
there
extent.
are nuances
Even
in that.
even for me, like, before I went to college, I kind of had to sit down with my parents because I was choosing between 2 schools.
Yeah. But you
And
knew you wanted to be a writer.
I knew I wanted to be a writer. And so I had a set direction. But yes, things changed. My whole life, I'd never even heard of people, like, transferring. Like, it wasn't really a thing you talked about. So I always assumed whatever college I pick, I'm there for 4 years. And I got to commit to it. And it wasn't until my senior year, and I was having such a hard time choosing. And I talked to my dad about it. And he goes, if after a year you want to transfer, you have our full support.
Yeah.
I was very lucky. I got 2 awesome parents. But, like, I think that not enough people talk about, like, they talk about major changing, like changing your major all the time.
Yeah.
But it's very rarely talked about that, like, sometimes you build a life out of school and then you have to pack up that whole life and move somewhere else. And that's okay too. Like,
Yeah.
I still talk to quite a few people that I went to school with my freshman year of college. But I needed to move because I needed to have, I need to be where I am now. And
Yeah.
I think that it's important. Like, you changed majors how many times?
Officially or unofficially?
Give us both numbers. I'm actually
Okay,
curious.
so
I know a number.
originally I was studying theology.
Yes.
And I was going to get a major in theology, period,
Yes.
full stop, nothing else.
Okay.
By the end of when I was leaving Belmont, I was going to have a double major in psychology and business with a minor in theology and honors.
Okay, but, like, in between all of that, how many times did you change or add something? Like, what was the process? for
So
that?
okay, so here's a little my story. Okay, I was studying theology whole first year. About halfway through I accidentally ended up taking a class called Introduction to Entrepreneurship, and my
Oops.
life changed. And I started that. So my first semester of my sophomore year, and then my second semester, I realized that I wanted to go and do business, and so I started taking business classes. And if I had stayed at my first college, I would have switched then. So technically, I never officially changed my major. I was still a theology declared major. But then I was going to switch right, and then I was like, well, instead of switching majors, I'm just going to switch colleges. And I think don't be afraid to change and do what's best for you. Like, I had an ability to go to another college the end of my freshman year, and it was going to be they were going to give me a stupidly large scholarship, right? It was going to be fantastic. But I decided to stay because I wanted to be with my friends, which is a totally acceptable reason. But at the end of the
It's all
day, you need to
priorities.
remember that you are at school for a purpose of learning to get you to a place. And sometimes, yeah, it'll be important to be with friends. That's cool. But don't let the concept, this is tip, are we on 6 now? Number 5?
No, we're on 5 now.
5 or 6, whatever tip we're on now. Don't be afraid to shake everything up and say, you know what? All of my preconceived notions are gone. I'm going to do it in a completely different way than I ever thought. Sometimes God will just throw a curveball at you and you'll be like, you know what? Now I no longer want to study philosophy. I want to study sports therapy. And there's nothing wrong with that. You're not, there's such a preconceived notion both about going to college and finishing college and starting with one degree and then finishing with that degree. There's no rule that says you have to do that. There's no regulation that says
Also,
you need to go to one college, study that major, and finish. The only one that I would recommend is bio, but that's only because you have to, there are a lot of classes and you have one track to do it.
Yeah, that one's like a really hard track. But I think it's important to know that like you're going to change as a person from high school to college. People change from college to like middle-aged adulthood. Like people will change jobs. They'll change, even if they work at the same company, they might change jobs. They might change departments. They might change whatever. Like you're going to change who you are as a person between high school and college. Not only because you now suddenly have a lot of freedoms that you don't actually have. You just think you have. But like, yeah, like you have a valid, like you've transferred twice because now you're online for business administration.
Could not recommend it highly enough.
And that's great because it worked for you. You found out through a process that online learning works for you.
Yeah.
I'm currently kind of online, if that makes sense. I'm on Zoom.
I'm
basically on Zoom University.
We're on Corona
right now.
School.
And I'm going...
Corona University. Class of 2020.
I'm going crazy right now. I'm an extrovert. I need to be around people. Like, I'm going psycho with not being able to meet in person. Like I can watch a video and understand the curriculum. Great, grand, wonderful. But that's not what all my classes are. I'm at a film school. A lot of my classes are like hands-on. Hands-on. Like I have to make a documentary or I have to write a screenplay or I have to, like there's a bunch of hands-on things that I have to do. And now I can't do them.
Yeah.
Like we're watching videos online and we're talking about it, but it's and some of the professors are like, all right, you're going to try to do it with like your phone or like if you have any camera equipment.
Great. It's what you can do.
And it's great because like I have equipment and everything, so I can do stuff. But it's hard on students, I think, and it's hard on professors because you're going to learn your own way. And the best way to actually be successful in college is to find out what your learning style is. Find out, are you...
Tip number 6 or 7. 6. Tip number 6.
We'll go over them at the end. We'll see
if we remember.
We'll see what we remember.
Yep.
I'm kind of keeping track in my head, but
I'm not.
Like you have to learn your own teaching, like your own learning style.
Yeah.
Because there might be a class where it's super lecture based and you're not good with like listening and seeing it, but you're really good at hands-on stuff. So you have to learn what tricks you can do to do really well at that class.
Exactly.
And like I know people who have found out that they kind of work differently for different types of classes. So, for an English class, they may work one way, and for a science class, they may work another. And that's totally fine. I think it's important to learn that even in high school.
Oh, yeah.
Because high school, a lot of classes are just the exact same way. And you either do well or you don't do well, or like you do really well in class, but you struggle on tests, or like there could be a number of things where like there's a difference, I guess. Disadvantage.
Yeah. C's earned degrees.
Disparity, I guess, between them.
C's earned degrees.
C's do earn degrees, but don't aim for that.
No.
Like,
well,
honestly,
what's your learning style? How do you learn?
My
you learn.
learning style?
You just said.
No, I didn't.
Didn't you?
I said I know people who do it differently.
How do you learn?
I'm one of those people that's kind of split based on.
I'm gonna pull this down a little bit for you. It's like poking you in the face.
It was poking me kind of in the face, but I didn't want to
move.
move.
Lean over this way.
I didn't want to move.
It's like you're trying to be like, I'm
trying to
hide.
I'm trying to look at you, but like you're next to me.
This looks like we're doing a. Well, then we'll move it over. This looks like we're about to do like a chorus line, like. We look like we're on the Muppets.
Oh my gosh, I love the Muppets.
What's your learning style?
Mine is mostly, hands-on. So experience. I learn best by doing it.
Nice.
But I also can learn auditorially. So
I don't think that's a word.
Auditorially? Yeah, it is.
I think it's just.
You don't have an answer. So
I
that
don't.
Means I'm right.
I really don't.
I'm right. We all know it. But no, like I
Are you
learned.
thinking editorially?
No, auditorially.
I don't think that's a word.
Comment below if you think it's a word or not. I'm almost certain it's a word because I've heard it before.
You mean audibly? No.
No,
Audible.
auditor.
Speaking of which, the sponsor for today's episode is audible.com.
No, it's not. Do not
Completely
lie
kidding.
to these people.
Audible,
Although if
sponsor
Audible
us.
does want to sponsor me, I will also review all their books because I love books. No, I'm very visual, but
Pause. You'll listen to every book in existence that
No,
Audible has. Because that's what
no.
you just said.
no, oops,
Audible.
no, that's not what I mean.
She will spend the rest of her life not talking, not listening to anything except for your audiobooks if you sponsor us. That is a promise. That is a money
not
back
true.
guarantee.
You know what? Shut up. Nice words. No, I mean,
So you learn by listening.
I learn by listening and by doing it.
Ah.
So I learn through experience, or like if I'm taking notes in a class, the best way to learn is for me to think it, so I hear it in my head, and write it. I can see it, like I can picture things, but I'm not as visual. I've noticed actually guys are more visual.
I'm
or
not
tend
visual.
to be more visual. I don't know where I read that, but a lot of the
Well, I
guys
mean,
I
that's
know,
just
they
basic
learn
psychology.
by just seeing it.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what is with y'all's brains, but like I have somewhat of a memory where like I can picture it, like if I see it enough
Yeah.
times, and like, but I'll picture myself writing it. I won't picture the like screen, like the slideshow or whatever the professor's showing. Or I'll picture myself writing it, or I'll picture my notes.
Interesting.
So
I just learned by doing it myself.
yeah, so you learn
by
doing, by touch.
No.
No?
My brain
Is
wanders.
broken?
My brain wanders a lot, and when I have a question, I want it answered really fast, which is why I don't do well when I'm in a class where they say no computers, because if the professor has a question or I want to check something real fast, but I don't want to raise my hand and interrupt the class, I'd rather just look it up on my computer in 35 seconds and we're done. So online school works really well for me because like the online program I'm doing right now, the method is you have a bunch of assignments, you have to teach yourself the information, they give you like, here's links, here's stuff, here's library, here's books you can look at, here's all of it for free online because you're part of the school and it's great. Just like at a normal school, if you have to look stuff up at the library, and then you just look it up yourself and you just write the paper, do the PowerPoint, or create the presentation. And that's the way that I learn, is by being able to teach myself, which is why I don't do good at school and I don't like school, because if there is a school that works, it's when it is very hands-on and very fast-paced. It's like, we're not going to do any fluff. We're going to crack through. We're just going to go. Here are the key points. Bam, 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 and we're done. I also have a problem when schools make people all go through the same track when they don't need to. Because if you understand basic stuff, you should be allowed to test out of anything you want to take, just like you can test out of math or science. You should be allowed to test out of theology or English or... what's another core credit?
I don't know. I'm really amused watching this philosophy.
I already said
You did not say philosophy.
philosophy or
Spanish.
a language. If you know another language, you shouldn't have to take another language. I don't care if you're honors. If I studied Latin in high school and I can read Winnie the Pooh in Latin, I shouldn't need to take a Latin class. However, hats off to you, Dr. Mulsbury from Belmont Abbey College. You are a god among men. But regardless, like, I have had so many instances where I sit down and I'm like, I'm not going to learn anything for 12 weeks, am I? And the professor's like, no, you will not. I've had professors straight up say, think about that God is placing you in this class so that you can teach other people. I'm like, am I getting paid to do this? I didn't think so. So that's another tip. Get ready for disappointment, because they're just going to just mess you. I'm kidding. That's not the experience of most people. I'm just bitter and wanted to get that out. But there is this kind of an element, like Rachel was saying, where once you understand how you learn, try to figure out and work with people, because oftentimes professors will work with you so that you can understand it. For example, I think one of the best things that people do is, if they doze off really badly, bring a tape recorder, buy a $50 Zoom thing, and see if you can record it and listen to it afterwards. If your mind really wanders off,
if your mind wanders off that bad, you need to
borrow
go
someone
get
else's
help.
notes as well, and be like, "Hey, can I collab on your notes?"
Need to. No, that's lazy. I'm gonna be that person. Look, he has opinions. We're going to ignore all
Okay,
of
but
them.
what about test help? What if they say, "Oh, well, you are at a disadvantage, so you're going to have help for testing"?
Well, do you have like a thing?
Yeah, like the doctor's note sort of a thing. I'm not saying me.
That's what does that have to do though with sleeping in class?
Oh no, I'm not talking about sleeping. If you're sleeping in
You
class,
were
you're a
just
moron.
sleeping in
No, no,
class.
no. I'm saying if your mind wanders off, like if you have ADHD or something.
Well, they have things to do that, but the point is not to bring a tape recorder and record, because that's a lazy trick.
But if he allows it and
No,
it helps
it's still
you,
lazy. It doesn't, though. What it does is it becomes an excuse. That's the trick. Is stuff
I see
like
what you're
that
saying now.
becomes, you need to give yourself active things to do to focus. I had friends who had ADHD and were in classes. Do you know what they did? They had fidget things, or the professor would let them sit near the back of the classroom, so if they need to get up and pace while they listened, they could.
Well, and that's
But
sort of the same thing I was saying.
The whole point is that they avoid things that make them lazy or that make them zone off. Putting a tape recorder is an excuse.
But take advantage of things that can help you. And if you have a problem, ask the professor if there's a way
Well,
that
but
can
that's
help
why
you.
you talk to the professor. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a really slow writer. I like handwrite really, really slowly.
Beautifully.
Beautiful. Thank you. I write really slowly, but it's because that's how I absorb the information. So if I write it really fast, I don't absorb it, and it looks messy, and that freaks me out because I like when things look nice. And so I don't know, like I talked to a couple of my professors. I'm like, you go through the slides way too fast, man. I cannot keep up.
And what did they do?
They actually, so what they intentionally do is they don't put up the PowerPoint for the class on our online system until after the class is over, so that kids are forced to pay attention.
Yeah.
Which is smart. But for me, they would personally email it to me before class would start, so I could have it. So if they got ahead of me, so they'd skip to the next slide, but then they talk on that slide for a long time. I could stay on the last slide and finish up, and then go to the next one and keep following along. Or like, if I get overwhelmed and I can't keep up, or my anxiety kicks in or something, I can stop writing. I can just listen and absorb. And then over the break, and because we have like 10-minute breaks, I go to a school where we have 3-hour classes. During one of the breaks, I can sit there and write out all the notes, and I can hear what he said or she said in my head, so then I can write extra notes or whatever. But it helped me, and the whole point is I knew what I needed to learn well. It wasn't like I went to the professor and I was like, I don't know how I learn, but nothing's connecting to me in this class. Like, I'm not making excuses. I went to them and I said, you go through the slides too fast. I can't write it down and absorb it, and my writing process is that I absorb it.
Yeah. And I think
what
that's
can
really
we
the
do
tip.
to make it for me? Or like one professor, I wouldn't even take notes in the class. I would print out the slides and I would write notes on the side, and then during the week I would handwrite them as my studying process.
Yeah, don't let anything become a detriment to you not being able to do well. You're at school, you're putting yourself in probably the most debt you will ever be in. Actually, credit card debt is actually
Credit card debt is pretty bad.
Worse than student debt.
I
Fight
don't know
me,
about
Bernie
that.
Sanders.
Have you seen my student loans?
Yeah. Okay, but national. Anyways, don't let yourself get in the way, and don't say like, I'm not going to bother the professor. It's his job to be bothered and to help you.
That's why they have office hours.
Exactly. Or even just come to him after class, be like, Professor, I have this specific problem. How can this be better? Most professors will be like, I don't know.
You're probably not the first person who's had it either.
Yeah, and most professors aren't scary.
Usually,
I've been to three schools, and I've had 3 professors I was scared of, one of which was because he was incredible and I didn't want to
offend.
No, not even offend. I wanted to live up to everything he saw in every person, and I was like, I want to do good by you, man. Like, most professors aren't scary. Don't be scared of them. That's tip number 7.
Also, they're usually pretty chill. Yeah, we're on 7.
Tip number 7.
Well,
don't be
because we
scared
give
of the professors.
side tips. We have side tips in there that we
Yeah.
do. Well, and then
go to them if you have a problem. It is your job to make sure your education is the best you can be. So, they have independent studies for a reason. If you say, hey, professor, I really want to study
the philosophy of
oranges.
Dinosaurs. Oh. He's thinking oranges because I'm drinking orange juice.
If you want to study the
right
philosophy of orange, I'm sorry, I didn't ask. What are you drinking today, Rachel?
I'm drinking orange juice.
If you really want to study,
pulp.
if you want to study the philosophy in Rick Riordan's The Lightning Thief, ask them if you can do that as an independent study. Now, I'm not going to say he's going to say yes to that. He probably won't to that specific one.
Probably.
He'll probably be more likely to study the philosophy of dinosaurs or oranges. But
I don't know. Have you heard the news? You've
What?
heard the Lightning Thief news.
Yeah, they're doing it for Disney Plus.
I'm so excited, and I just can't hide it. I'm really hyped.
It's
I've
gonna be
actually never read the books.
What?
controversial thing. I read the first 2.
Cancel her.
No, I only read the first 2.
Cancel her.
Because I got tricked into seeing the first movie. I didn't know there was a book. So someone showed it to me.
You're a YA writer.
Yeah.
And you haven't read Percy Jackson.
I've read it, kind of.
The one book series that people consider better than Harry Potter, which we are reading on our other show on this same channel.
I personally was not that big a fan of it, which is weird because I went through a massive...
So weird.
I went through a massive Greek mythology phase. And
Everyone
I remember
did.
reading the...
Because of Percy Jackson.
Actually, no. I got into it totally unrelated to Percy Jackson. And then everyone was like, oh, you have to read Percy Jackson if you're big into Greek mythology. And I think a part of me was like, I don't have to read it because I had a couple of other Greek mythology.
Are you? I don't even know you.
I had other Greek mythology series I was reading. So I kind of was like, okay, I'll put it on my list. And then my like interest was there, but like I got busy.
I have them on Kindle.
Things.
We're going to read them.
And
I'm going to make you read them.
Okay. But I never the first movie, I didn't know that it like that was because they didn't call it that. I think that my friend was just like, oh yeah, it's Lightning Thief or something. I don't know. I didn't put 2 and 2 together, and I went and saw it, and I was like, oh, this is that Percy Jackson book.
Yeah.
They were like, yeah, and I was like, why didn't you tell me that? And they were like,
the movie wasn't good.
But then the second one was coming out around that time, so I read the books, and I got to the first 2 books because I read up to the movie because I read like just in time for the movie, and then I went to the movie with my friends, and I was so disappointed. And
you know who else was disappointed?
One of my friends said, oh yeah, well, it's only a little bit better than the books. So then I was like discouraged from reading it, so I didn't finish.
Rick Riordan has an open letter that he published, not just apologizing for the movies, but saying, I hate every studio exec. It's amazing. Look it up. It's incredible.
Is magical.
So not only did you not like it,
I love the drama.
I did not like it, and I was a massive. I made myself a Camp Half-Blood T-shirt to go to that movie.
Did you?
I'm sorry, Mom.
That is so cute.
It was really cute. Also,
tip
tip number 8: find simple pleasures that allow you to have fun outside of school. It can literally be, and then set time that you can actually do them. Don't just be like, I'm just gonna do them. If you like going out in a hammock and reading a book, make time to do that.
I love how you segued that in. Like you tried to make this total tangent
king
work.
Of segues.
I'm the queen of tangents.
That is my new title,
great.
the king of segues.
She's the king of segues.
I can drive a Segway anywhere, anytime, except the ocean, because they're made of electricity. They're not made of they're powered by electricity.
No, but just think about it.
And
You're the king of
segues,
and I'm the.
You're the queen of what? Scooters?
No.
Are you okay?
Yeah. I'm the queen of tangents.
That's accurate. You're the queen of monologues, and I am the king of segues.
No, tangents.
That's
queen
us.
Tangents.
That's our new channel name. The king of things and the queen of
tangents and the king.
Find simple pleasures. That's tip number 7. Find simple pleasures that. Oh, sorry. Is this one 8?
Yes.
Tip number 8. Find simple pleasures.
You know, we're not gonna number them. Next, another tip.
As you can tell by this title, which I am currently thinking of what to call it, it's probably going to be a random number of tips for college for high school students.
If we forgot
Open
to keep track
parentheses
list.
Because Connor can't keep track. Close parentheses -- story time. Yeah, find simple pleasures. Find things that you enjoy. Like I get really energized by gaming. Mm-hmm. I get really, really, really energized by gaming. So I try to spend probably 30 minutes to an hour every day gaming. Probably it's usually at night or like first thing in the morning or like around like 4, like after I finish all my big work, just because I gotta get all my stuff done first, and then let me take some time to re-energize, relax. Some people it's reading a book. Rachel reads books like she's breathing air. I almost said drinking air. You all saw that. I apologize. But find that simple pleasure. It could be that you really, 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 really freaking love knitting. Spend 30 minutes knitting every day. Find a little simple thing.
Maybe you really like hiking. Maybe you really like...
Yeah, because the stress is on you, man.
But make sure that it's something that's like... It can be with other people. Like, I have certain things that I love to do with other people. I love to, like... go swimming with, like, I love going to the pool and swimming with people. Like, I think it's super fun.
But you're an extrovert.
Relaxing. But it's because I'm an extrovert. But I have to set time where it's just me because I know that I'll get to the point where, like, you need like that 30 minutes of just you time to breathe, because even as an extrovert, you need like 30 seconds at least to like before you go on to the next thing. And it
Yeah.
makes you more aware of the time you get to spend with other people. So it's not like,
Oh, I see where you're going with
I've got one thing to the next thing to the next thing to the next thing, you know, like, and there's no, you don't really commit to that time that you're with those people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I could be on a film set that I've been looking forward to all week, working my butt off, but I'll also be answering texts from a friend of mine whose paper I'm helping edit later that day. Or
But that really goes into tip number 9 about friends. And this is probably one of the most important before our top tip, which is the most important one. Tip number 9, friends will come and go. If you are in a friendship, it will be broken.
well, no,
sorry,
don't
let me
be
rephrase.
so
I am so
negative
sorry.
about
If you are in a friend group, the likelihood of you being in that same friend group with there being no drama and no problems and not any of you leaving for all 4 years of college is absolutely tiny. Studies show that friends that you are with for your freshman year of college, if you have 30 friends, you will be friends with 2 of them for your sophomore year and invite one of them to your wedding.
See, I disagree with that, but that's just me.
No, that's you can't disagree with statistics.
I can.
No, you can't. It's
Watch
a statistic.
Watch me.
You're disagreeing with reality.
I write fantasy novels for a living and screenplays for a living. I don't live in reality. No,
Tip
I don't
number
think
9.
that that's fair. I don't think that that's fair to say. Everyone's experience is different.
Then let me
I know people who
rephrase
have been
this.
best friends with their friends in college for like 10 years, and it's totally cool. I think you can have friends. I think don't put pressure. I think the trick is to not put pressure on
That's
the
what
friendship.
I was going to say.
Don't force a
I should
friendship.
have just said that.
Yeah, you should have.
I should have just said that.
Don't force a friendship to last because you met your freshman year of college and you were all best friends.
Yeah.
Like, you can keep friends from college, like,
Yeah.
totally fine. You may still hang out with them, all of them. You might just hang out with them all individually.
Yeah.
Or you might not hang out with any of them right now. In your senior year of college, you may reconnect. And
Yeah.
it'll be great. And
Or you may lose friends and you never speak to them again.
the whole point is less so to think about it in the pessimistic way, which is to say your friendships won't last, which is really depressing. I think
Yeah, it is. I
the
can't
best
argue
way
with
to
that.
look at it is be open to new friendships and allow for that shift that happens with people and relationships
Yeah.
to come naturally.
Yeah.
You're going to have lows with friends. You might it might be a really slow, point to where like you don't talk to that person that much anymore. That's okay too.
Well, if somebody's an education major and they're studying to be a teacher, senior year, you will not see them unless you live with them.
Yeah, you won't see your friends.
If they're
'cause
studying law, you're not going to see them.
Yeah. But no, like, I think it's important that people, like, I think the issue is not, oh, your friends that you're with right now, your freshman year, aren't going to be your friends.
Yeah, I
That's not
apologize
true.
for being so pessimistic.
I think the best way to see it is just, like, be open to the fact that they will change in some way, shape, or form. It might be that they become better. It might be that you start dating. It might be that you just be friends. It might be that you don't hang out in the massive friend group, but you hang out with them individually. Or it could be any number of things. It
And
could be
there's
that you
nothing
never
wrong with
talk.
any of those.
All of them are totally legitimate.
Sorry, there was a baby squirrel that just ran across our desk.
There wasn't. I just saw things outside. No, like, because it's a real thing. Like, you will have friends who you are not that close to.
Or you could have the best friend in the world, and then
I mean, I met
they block you on Instagram.
my best friend. Well, my longest best friend. When we were in daycare. We were babies in diapers.
Yeah.
And we've been best friends ever since.
Yeah.
I still text her, like, as often as I can. We're not great about texting. We will actually just sometimes wait and see each other in, like, a few weeks. Like, we'll text each other when big things happen.
Yeah.
But,
And that's okay.
yeah, that's totally fine.
Friendships
But
are in
then
every shape, way, and form.
I've met somebody in the last few months who's become one of my best friends, and I adore her to pieces. And I don't know what I don't know what I would do without her. Like, we text every day. And we talk every day, and it's so great. I have a friend who I met my freshman year of college. We had a good relationship. It totally fell apart, and now we have a really great relationship.
Yeah.
And that's totally fine too. And I, like, the biggest part of the friendship is that you're going to change as a person in college.
Yeah.
That is just a fact of life.
Everyone will.
But if your friends may transition kind of and shift with you, they may kind of shift away from you. The whole point is that you need to be the best way to actually cultivate good relationships and to even to keep those ones that slowly start to fade away is that you treat it with a healthy amount of acceptance. Like, accept that you guys might not hang out as much because
Or ever.
they're a
Busy.
science person and they're always in the lab and their lab hours are early in the morning.
And you have theater
and
and
you
cheer.
have theater at night.
Pull back.
And you
Call back.
have only availability in the morning. They have only availability at night. You guys never see each other. You kind of stop talking over text. It slowly fades. And then
Nothing wrong with that.
you end up both joining some club and reconnecting, and it's great. Who knows? Like, everyone's going to have a different experience. It's just important to be healthy about it. Like, I think all these tips, the point is that, like, every single one of these tips, it shifts per person. Everyone's personal experience is going to be different. Everyone's relationships are going to be different. Everyone's college is different. Everyone's college experience at that college is different.
This is tip 10.5 or 9.5.
But the whole point is that you need to be okay with the constant sense of change. Nothing is really consistent in college. I mean, you will have
lose money.
Consistent things.
That's the only consistent. And food won't be great.
Excuse you.
And you will get at least one C, or you're a nerd.
I never got a C.
Yes, you. Did I get a C?
I got a B minus on one
That's
class.
real close.
It was real close. It was like 0.5 percentage.
Some friendships and everything. Some things will stay forever. Some things will fade, will ebb and flow. Some things will fall apart in a dramatic fashion, and some things will just whisper away. And all of those things, be open to the way that the Lord's directing you. As we go into tip number 10, make sure that you are spiritually feeding yourself. Okay, make sure you're physically feeding yourself, but also make sure you're spiritually feeding yourself.
Yeah.
Like, go to adoration or go to confession. At the very least, keep going to mass once a week.
Keep going to mass.
At
Find
the
buddies.
very least.
Find buddies to go to mass with.
Mass
Like,
buddies.
That's the best. Like, I had the best mass buddies. They would, like, we'd all meet up. We were girls. We'd get dressed up. We'd all meet up at the dorm, and then we'd walk to mass together. And it makes it fun.
Are you saying that guys don't get together to get all ready for church?
No, guys would get ready to join us for church.
No, guys don't do that together.
That's not the way to find your future husband.
It's like we're shaking on a wave. I don't know.
No. No, but like that I think was the easiest part about going to mass was the fact that I had friends who also went.
100%.
Like, if you have the discipline to go to mass by yourself and not in the mindset of like, I have to go to mass because I'm Catholic and I need to do what's right. That's
good for you.
Like, great for you.
You're awesome.
I never missed a mass, but I still like.
It helps.
I imagine I would have struggled. I never had to go by. Like, there were times where I had to go by myself, but
I mean, we're not going to mass now because it's closed.
Well, right now it's closed, which is really sad, and online mass is weird. But it's okay if you think it's weird. Like, it's weird for me too. I have so many.
And yes, EWTN does not have great footage. You've been thinking it for weeks.
No, but like, seriously, like, getting a mass buddy is like, I had a mass buddy who wasn't even Catholic, and they would just come with me because sometimes I had rehearsal early in the morning and I couldn't go to morning mass with my friends, so I'd go at night.
Yeah.
I'd go in the evenings at like 9 or ours was weird. It was super late. But let's say I couldn't go in the morning because I had something that was going on or whatever. I had a friend who was not Catholic, who was in the theater department, who would go to mass with me because it was a guy. He didn't want me walking around at night alone. But like, it was so cool. And he ended up having a really good spiritual experience from it. And I think that that's what's really cool is that, like, set time for Jesus.
Make time for
but
Jesus.
But also, make community in Jesus. Because even if people aren't Catholic,
I really like that phrasing.
You'd be surprised how nice it is when you have that kind of community that's centered in that, like, in relationships, in friendships, in, like, Newman centers have fun retreats, and there's, like, Bible studies, and, like, you don't even have to go to a Catholic school to have access to these things.
Yeah.
And they're so fun, and they're so engaging, and they build a community outside of what's my major. Because at the end of the day, like, your major, yes, you spend a lot of time with people who have the same major as you. Or if you're in the theater department, you spend a lot of time with certain groups of people. But when you get out of college, not everyone's going to be in the same place. Obviously, not everybody in your church community is going to be in the same place either. But there is a higher likelihood that if you have a strong
Faith friends.
Faith friends, you're going to be able to create that kind of community in other places.
Such a wholesome
and it's not going to be like, oh, I have to leave this place I went to college, you know, and I'm not going to be around anybody that I went to college with. That can be really hard because you just made a lot of friends.
Yeah.
And now...
Or you're going to be that weirdo who sticks around college long after they graduated. Here, you know who you are. I'm looking right at you. What a wholesome note to end on, though.
What a wholesome note, indeed.
I would say let's list all of them, but no, we can't remember any of them. Number 3 was buy a rug. That's all I can remember.
You really want... I had a carpeted dorm my freshman year.
Rugs are the most... Okay, if we're going to be real, buy a tapestry. Everyone's doing it. You might as well, too.
Tapestries are fun. Let us know what you guys thought. Let us know if you guys have any topics you want us to talk about.
Those are our top 10 tips.
Top 10 tips. If you can remember them, comment them. We're going to try watching this video again and put them in the description on YouTube.
Not going to happen.
Okay, I guess I'm doing that. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for watching today. Thank you for joining our family. Be sure to follow and subscribe.
Family. We're a family. We went from a crew to a family. That's how cool we are, guys.
Oh, shoot.
We're just that
Do you want
awesome.
me to switch it back to
Absolutely
crew?
not. We're a family now.
We're a family now.
Thank you guys so much for watching.
Thank you guys so much for joining. Like, subscribe, comment. Let us know what you guys are up to. Let us know what you guys want to hear us talk about. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And as always, keep it real.